Then Thompson tapes from Dubai and PRT tapes from a lot of friends used to get from in the hostel from Nepal and stuff like that. Before that as well, it was just that a friend would have a tape and that would be gold mine. We believe in piracy, and Niche Chota Sa was written off our own music.
Highlight of my career with this band is when we opened for Iron Maiden in 2007 in Bangalore.
You'll be surprised to hear that way back in 96, 97, we had actually made an entire model on what the similar way as iTunes works today.
So I had to actually call him to my principal's office, and he struck a deal with my principal saying that Parikrama will play at the college fest, but let him give his exams. And that's how we did that.
And I am a big fan of Bikram Bista. I grew up listening to his music. I feel his music was so much ahead of time.
Welcome back to the Rock Show with ASM. We took a little bit of a breather, and now ASM is back, and we're back in the second season of sorts with a band that I grew up listening to back in the 90s. It was Parikrama and Indus Creed that were the staple of Indian rock living here in Kathmandu, and it is our immense honor to have them here on the Rock Show. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's do the formalities first for all the people sitting at home. Let's introduce yourselves.
I'm Srijan. I play drums with the band.
I, Subir, I play the organ and keyboards, and this is my friend. What's your name?
My name is still Abhishek.
I am Saurabh. I play guitars for Parikrama.
I'm Sonam. I play the guitar.
I am Gaurav and I play the bass.
All right, fantastic. Let's talk to you first, Subir. 91. That's how long it's been, right?
Yeah.
You're coming close to what, a 30-year anniversary?
29 in June next year, yeah.
If you wanted to summarize this whole experience, what would you say? How would you describe it?
It's been absolutely fun, yeah. It's exactly like, me, Sonam, Nitin, and Chintan, four of us were originally the two other people who started with us. We knew that they're there only for 4 months because they had already got their admissions in MBA courses. That was Prashant Bahadur and Mallu Rahul Malhotra's. So out of 4, I think 3 of us are still together. So I guess, that just tells you the thing. It's like it keeps us young, it keeps us fresh, it keeps us, we still have the same fun, I think.
How many of you were in Kirori Mul together too, right?
So initial band when we started, except Nitin who was in Hindu, all rest 5 of us were in KM. Mallu, Prashant, you, me, and Chintan. And that's it. So even later when we got another drummer, Dilip Ramachandran, he was also from KM, and yeah, we were essentially a college band.
And talk to me about the years back in the 90s, the early 90s, the late 80s. How were you consuming your, there's a lot of Western music influence that exists in Parikrama. How were you consuming music back then? Like, how were you getting these?
See, I think exactly like the way you were, because these are all those pirated PRT tapes and Thompson tapes from Dubai and PRT tapes from a lot of friends used to get from in the hostel from Nepal and stuff like that. Before that as well, it was just that a friend would have a tape and that would be gold mine. Then we look for ways to duplicate it somehow, do that, pass it on. Audio tapes was the only format, accessible to normal people, all of us. And we've all grown up rewinding the tape, listening to the solos, taking them out way back again and again. And that's all we've learned.
Killing the tapes in that process.
Yeah. So that's it, yeah.
Sonam, let's get a mic in front of you.
Yeah.
It's going to be explosive.
Explosive.
This is the 7th or 8th time that you've been as a band. The earliest, when you were here, when you were playing in India as well, what was the scene like in the 90s, the music scene, the rock music scene in India?
You mean in Nepal or
No, in India first.
In India, see, it was basically there were a lot of bands like in terms of there was no music triggered from a laptop or something. It was pure music running on, and like our college time, every college had bands. many bands, and there were a lot of competitions, and we used to have festivals. End of the festivals used to be all like rock shows, and there was pure music running on. Right now, of course, the music has changed over a period of time, and there are more electronic music, the music which have been triggered from 1, 2, 3, 4 laptops on a stage. But then it was like just pure music which is running throughout, and I think I dig that time a lot. Also, yeah.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
In fact, the audiences also that time, majority of the audiences were not, if I may say, corrupted by Bollywood as such.
So even in the early that decade of 90s when David Dhawan had the #1 series coming out and Govinda was on fire at that point, you still had organic audiences coming.
Yeah, in fact, I think it was the shittiest music era ever for Bollywood. That time. So yeah, I mean now, frankly, in Bollywood also, though not last 2 3 years, you have brilliant people who've come in and who make really good music. And I mean, due respect to whoever listens to whatever kind of music, it's their personal choice. But what I'm just trying to say is that way back then, it was not that. In fact, it was very strange. So if you were listening to Hindi music way back in 90s in Delhi University, people used to think that you are a little step lower. So that was the basic mindset. So not that we appreciated it, but the part is that if people were coming and to our shows, or if we were going to Hansraj College for a band called Phoenix's shows, or if you're going to Hindu College for someone else's shows, there the audience was very literate with classic rock, if I may say, So everybody listened to classic rock. In hostels, you will go and you'll have Floyd and Zeppelin and Purple playing all over DU, and of course, so those things. It was a different time, and of course now, as Sonam said, things have changed, and I mean that's natural. Things will change, and this era also will change to probably something else next 7 years. You never know.
One of the most fascinating things about you guys, and this is, I think, unprecedented, is that you've never released an album. It's for a span of nearly 3 decades, it's only been singles. Was this a conscious choice that you took back in the early 90s, or is this something that you just thought was much more easier to do?
The idea was that we started Parikrama for the love of playing classic rock. And it was initially a 3-4 months project before, I was supposed to join my family business and say goodbye, whatever, the usual story you'll find. So, but, the rush that we got in playing live, we could never get the same in going to a studio. So we just kept playing live. We kept making music. The music happened. The first show we did had an original as well, though we started the band with the purpose to play Floyd, Zeppelin, and, Rush and the bands that we wanted to play. But so that kept happening, and so in fact we recorded in 29-30 years we probably have more than 100 songs that we have, but we have probably recorded just 2-3 of them, 5 of them maybe.
Why is that?
So essentially it was in 96-97 that when the internet hit us. 95, I remember going to IIT Bombay, and then they showed us this new thing called the internet, and then they showed us the potential. It was in black and white that time, and by I think 96, what happened in India was called a TCP/IP account. That was, you could see the colored internet, and so we made a website on free server. Like Tripod was the first free server made the site on. Then we had bigger pictures, so we had another free site came in called GeoCities, which was giving you more space. And thereon in 97 we bought Parikrama.com, and we really thought that time. In fact, you'll be surprised to hear that way back in 96-97 we had actually made an entire model on what the similar way as iTunes works today. And most credit to Chintan, our bass player. It was his brain set for that. And college kids way back then didn't have PayPal, they didn't have credit cards, they didn't have Paytms and Google Monies and all that. So how do you get that 10 rupees? After a 3-month research from a lot of people, there was no net to do research. So we had to. So only way was left was a money order. So we sat and decided that no one is going to go to a post office to send you 10 rupees by money order, because sending currency by post and courier also is not legal in India. Okay. So then we said, okay, forget it. So we will, whatever we do, the live versions, we will put them on the net, and we will, give it out for free. Let people share it. Let people, whatever, pirate it, and there was this Telugu and stuff like that. So that's how the whole model came into our thing. Then we got so used to the fact, because we were playing so many live shows and experimenting all our new originals in the live concerts, that we said, okay, I mean, that's what we were getting the most fun out of. So now, with the changing times and stuff like that, we are getting back to those studios now, because now it's the other way around. So earlier, people used to, if they used to come to see a band live, way back in 95, 96, 97, and they used to like the band, then they used to follow you, not necessarily on social media. They used to follow you. Today, the following word is very different. First, the kids today follow you on Instagram and YouTube. If they like you on the virtual net, then they will come to your shows.
Hardly any of them come anywhere.
So and yeah, all over the world, if you see the trend, the people attending concerts, I think if you look at the percentage, it's actually reducing every year, because even when a lot of these people are coming to live concerts, they're actually seeing it through their phones. They're not really enjoying the pure experience, as Sonam said, and that we used to have that thing. But I mean, again, that's their viewpoint. They like it like that, it's fine. We liked it the other way, and we're more happy. Probably they've not seen that era,
Probably.
So yeah, so that's why we're now coming and recording now music in studios. We're coming up with new videos. Essentially, yeah, it's mainly because of the okay, it is for a fact that it's for the market and the way it is changed. We should have done this probably about 5 years ago, but biggest of all is for our own satisfaction, I mean, when we were releasing a video, so people said that, a lot of people said, no, it looks good, you should buy fake likes, you should buy fake views, they said everyone does it, it looks good. But I said, oh, it's a family channel, so I don't want to use the word.
You can say it.
Okay, you beep it.
Yeah,
So I said beep, 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 beep. I said beep, beep. Even if one person is watching or 10% watching, we have learned the video, it's fine. We don't care. We're not going to buy fake views or fake. So like that, yeah. So that's the whole story, yeah. I mean, straight from 90s to now, about why we didn't release albums and what we're doing now about singles and.
What was that brilliant caption that you had on your website about Piracy?
Okay, so GeoCities wrote, in fact, that was the main era when Metallica had sued Napster and that era when Piracy was like very big thing happening that time. So we written, like, the main header was, we believe in piracy. And Niche Chota Sa was written off our own music. So in fact, we've given out, trust me, we've given out over 1 lakh CD plus Chintan had made, which had our originals, audios, which had the live recording of our originals from VHS tapes that we had made into VCDs then. And we used to take that and give out in every show. We used to take 100, 200 CDs, and a lot of fans used to write to us on parikrama.com. And so each one would be, every day, 15, 20 couriers used to go from my office every day to every fan who would ever write for in.
This is all for the love of organic music that you did back then.
So I don't know whether it's that heavy, but we just liked doing it. So I don't know whether it was. We never probably knew that time that music one day will become organic or unorganic. But
Yeah.
it's just that it was. We lived out of our fans.
Yeah, I think it just flowed, yeah, because around that time, what really worked was like, it was just not album, like you said, we upload your song on the internet or wherever website, and people listening to a song, and you get invited for a show, you go for a show, and you perform well, and the show started multiplying a lot. I mean, means a lot, And so that's what we believe. So instead of rather than coming with an album, which actually economical doesn't make any sense. I think economically it makes sense when you have more shows for us. Yeah, that's Parikrama. I'm talking about Parikrama. So that's when we started. Okay, rather than album, keep releasing album singles and EPs and upload the thing, and the shows were, it was like rolling on. Now, of course, over a period of time, that the time has changed. Now I think like last 5 years now the time has really changed, and now it's time for us to actually now come for an album. But yeah, back then it was a different story altogether. You have to understand that that time and era also, when things were rolling and we were back to back, we were traveling, it's not that we were just performing, but there was something rolling happening with the band, with the song. People were listening online. Yeah, website was just happening, .com was just happening, these things were happening, and the band was very hot, and we were traveling a lot. You were doing a lot of shows. Now, of course, over a period of time now, yeah, okay, now albums are important. Now maybe that this is a time now we feel now we should be releasing it. We just released a single video. Now we're planning more, and then hopefully we get more. Yeah, we have a lot of actual tracks in the pipelines. You just have to hit the studio and get the thing going.
That hot period, that hot streak in the 90s we're talking about, right? Weren't you approached by big labels and to get in the studio and record an album? Let's get something out there. Was there any interest from big labels at that point, like Sony or BMG?
So we got an offer, but they wanted us to convert to indie pop and start singing, pop music and stuff like that. No, we refused the deal.
I
And
think
trust
that
me,
was.
I mean, did they actually say that to you, that they wanted to change the direction?
I remember, especially I think that was around the Junoon time, no? When Junoon was hot in Pakistan, I think that was a time when they really. I'm not sure.
So they saw
around
us,
that time.
They saw us on IIT Bombay show in 1995 in December, and then I was not well, I remember, so I came back. Then they called me, then flew back, spoke to all of them, and it was a big deal. 3 albums that time at a price not heard of. But then it was that we had started the band again for a certain thing that we will only do this kind of thing. I mean, what we'll play and listen to music that we go back and listen to at home.
Yeah, I think that's true because that was a time when a lot of independent music was happening. Like you had Euphoria coming up, Dalar Mandi was there, Made in India. What was her name? Yeah. So that was a period. Yeah, there was a period when the indie pop was really coming up, and I think around that time we got an offer to actually convert to. And like you said, I think we kind of stuck to the music.
But But see, I'll tell you one more thing, Sonam. If you, with due respect to every artist, great artist of the 90s, if you look at that, what I personally think is that lifespan, of most of these artists is they're so much into limelight that it's limited to those 2, 3, 4, 5 years of being on top. If we are talking about all the artists that you're saying, except a few of them, majority, it was not only that, Sonam, there was that, Kamal Khan, that, Colonial Cousins,
exactly,
Silk Route.
Happening. But
Great music, Silk Route and Lucky Ali album. And so, but very few out of hundreds and thousands of that era, just 5, 10 of surviving.
Yeah, I think basically, what I think we realize over that period of time, what we sound best is what we do best. There was no point going to a different area where we are not comfortable as a band. Individually, maybe we are comfortable. As a band, we sound best as Parikrama. That's it, period. And we're going to go with that.
But it's not that, because indie pop was so big that time. It's not that we were pressurized by even like close friends like Amit Saigal Saab, who started RSJ, Farhad Wadia, Joji George. They all were like saying, this is the in thing you do. And we actually also, to be fair, we wrote one song.
One song. I remember. I still remember the tune.
I remember the Sharad wrote the lyrics, and we tried to do that, but we didn't get the feel.
We didn't feel it as a band. As a band, we couldn't feel it coming together.
So he said, okay, there is a lot of fame, there is a lot of money. You'll be on TV, this, that, stuff like that. But it didn't feel right. So we've always done only things that we feel right. We don't care about how we've always gone against how everyone does.
I think that's a message that a lot of aspiring musicians looking at this show can also sort of listen to. I think you're the only band that remains, like the band that remains. There's no Silk Route, there's no Alisha Chinoy, there's only Mohit Chauhan remains of Silk Route, actually. I guess it's a testament to you sticking to your guns. All of you sticking to your guns. And knowing what felt right to give you this big lifespan. I think that's one of the takeaways from this segment that we can take away as.
And I think, sorry to cut short, I think the biggest part is also that we still don't, if anyone says 29 years, it's a long time, I say, who the fuck said it's 29 years? We don't feel like 29 years.
Beep.
He said he'll do that. He'll do my job. So I mean, I think if they say it's been a long journey, I said not at all. Probably because we see the point is that if you don't feel that we have done enough, we don't feel like we have done, we've come a long way, and now we're old and haggard and tired. I think that is what the biggest thing about the band is, that we will still not, still don't think that we've done enough. So it's great fun. It's the same fun that started way back then. It is still the same fun.
And let's talk to the silent member of the band, because I think he won't let you speak if I don't give the mic to you. Saurav, we were talking about this off camera. It's been 2 decades. You've been in the band.
Yeah, I've been with the band since 2000 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how's the experience? What did you do before that? Were you pursuing music before that as well?
Yes, I was playing with a couple of bands, and then right after school, I started playing at a few competitions, and then there was something called the Friends of Music.
Cool.
Yeah. So I played a few concerts with a few various bands, and that's when I made friends with Vipin and Vikram, who's our former guitar player and sound engineer. So yeah, I think one fine day I got a call from Subir, and he asked me for an audition. So that's how it all happened, and it's
You
been
made
a
him
great
audition?
ride. Yeah.
Okay.
So there were about 40 guitar players from Delhi who auditioned for Parikrama. Yeah, and I was straight out from school and everything. So
Now, you
Audition पे मैं नहीं था.
I think you were back home.
अच्छा अच्छा okay.
बॉल टाउन में तो होता था पीछे वाले कमरे में.
नहीं था.
अरे कैनेडी वेनेडी कितना 40 लोग आया था यार ओवर 2 weeks.
I don't remember. Yeah.
फिर हम शुरू हो जाएंगे.
So it's been a great ride. Like when I started playing music, Parikrama was this band I always used to look up to.
What now?
Even now.
Okay.
So, and getting a call from Subir, I was just chilling at home, and it was a big deal for me back then. And it's still a big deal for me. Like I've never taken this band for granted or whatever, for that matter. I mean, all of us, we've put our lives into it. We've done a lot of hard work, and we've put our blood, sweat, and tears into it. And that's what Parikrama is.
But it's, I mean, 2 decades in itself is a big span, a big chunk of your lifetime that you've
Yes.
spent with these bands.
Yes, it's half my life.
That's half your life. There, now you've dated yourself. Anything stands out? Any particular incident?
Highlight of my career with this band is when we opened for Iron Maiden in 2007 in Bangalore. So right after we finished our set, the manager and a few guys from Iron Maiden, they approached us and they asked us if we were willing to tour with them in the UK.
Oh.
And in 2007 we were there in the UK, and we performed on the main stage at the Download Festival.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
11th of June.
Yeah.
Wow!
Also many shows all over London. Yeah, almost a month we were traveling. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so this was a crazy time, and the other crazy time was also when we got a standing ovation at the Kennedy Center in US. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and especially we are doing rock music, so our audience is not Indian crowd, not from here. It's basically we are catering to the white people out there, and you are playing the music, and when you get that appreciation from them, it's a great high.
Playing at the Kennedy Center itself is just. Let's talk to the young guns.
Relatively.
For the well, I mean, you look like the young guns.
Yo mama. No, it has to start with yo mama.
Yo, mama, yeah. that's
Yo,
it.
mama. What's up?
What's up, man?
So, how long have you been playing with?
It has to be done in rap,
Rap.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, you need to listen more to your son's music now.
I'm on my 9th year with Parikrama now.
Nice.
so-
And yours?
I joined in 2007, so yeah, like 12, 13 years, yeah.
So, like, were you guys like fresh out of school when you joined?
I was in college actually, and funnily enough, I was in third year college. I was 19 when, as always, on a normal day, like with him, I got a call from him saying, "Hey, listen, actually, I'm Subir calling from Parikrama." I was just like, "Okay, so actually, we're looking for a drummer, so can you come audition?" I was like, "Sure," and I landed up, and
Again, audition mein
You were there at the audition.
not there.
You
I
were
don't
there.
remember,
I
yeah.
still remember you were there, and you didn't talk much, and you were just like, "Listen, like we gotta play this song, that song, and whatever." I was just like, "Okay, cool."
Just like
So-
therapy session for the band.
So yeah, but did that, and funnily enough, I was still in college, and I was just talking to Shashank here today, and telling him that in college, in the first year that I was with these guys, I think we were on tour for about 100 days in that year. Okay, and I had no attendance to be able to give my final exams, so I had to actually call him to my principal's office, and he struck a deal with my principal saying that Parikrama will play at the college fest, but let him give his exams. And that's how we did that. So, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. And
And you already joined when the band had a few miles already
absolutely,
in them, right?
I joined right after their UK download tour, in fact.
Oh, okay. And like, what was your first the experience when you first joined the band? Was it overwhelming, or did you just go? Was it like hand in a glove? Just felt right.
Funnily enough, when I look back at it today, I'm just like, it was quite a crazy thing what happened and what I've done and what these guys have enabled me to do. But at that time, I never thought about it because, you're like 19 years old, and like I've known Saurabh since I was maybe 15. And I was just like, yeah, okay, cool. But at the same time, I will tell you this, like my first concert was in Maika and Ahmedabad. And I passed out after sound check and nobody woke me up, and suddenly I slept. I was just like, yeah, morning flight, whatever, 19-year-old kid. I slept and I was out like a light, and suddenly at like 8 o'clock, one of the guys comes in and wakes me up. He's like, the band is waiting for you on stage. What the hell is wrong with you? And I was just like, okay. And I went like in boxers and like banyan and all, went on stage and played. And next day we left for Mokokchung, which is like one tiny village in Nagaland. And there were like 5,000 people there for this concert in the middle of nowhere.
Miss Mokokchung.
Miss Mokokchung, right? And that day I was just like, okay, I mean, it's a small town, yeah.
Beautiful place.
But yeah, that day I was just like, okay, this is maybe a little crazy, but it's cool. We'll figure it out.
Wow. Let's talk to you before he takes the mic from you.
That's fine. Let's talk
He's just
together.
gonna take the mic from you.
Yo.
You should do that.
So you are in terms of tenure, you're the youngest member.
Yeah.
So how was your selection process? Let's say.
Same. I got a
Same?
call.
You got a call. It's the most intricate.
No, but I had no idea that that's what I was being called for, because I was working with Subir sir for quite a while before that. So I thought it was just one of those regular calls. But when he spoke about Parikrama, obviously, like I was trying to curtail my exam. I'm like, yes, I'll be there. Like I was really excited, obviously. And I remember my first show. It was the song due at One Boulevard. It was actually a webcast basically, and web search. Sorry, yeah.
In
So
Saket,
Saket, yeah. So it was amazing, as like as you can. But it wasn't really a concert feel because it was just for the camera and the crew. But the next concert was Bangalore for the Cry Foundation and playing for Thermal and a Quarter. And there, the adulation that the band got, I was like, I mean, it was like way beyond. I mean, individually, all the members are like really, really talented, but together, what Parikrama was like. I've seen Parikrama numerous times as an audience member, but to be on stage and standing next to these guys, it was just like throughout the gig I had goosebumps. And I remember the gig was over, everybody was chilling. We had this nice service apartment that we were staying at inside the venue itself, and everybody's drinking outside. And I was just on such a rush that I was still headbanging in the room, and these guys spotted me outside from the window. Like, what the hell is he doing? I mean, for me, it was like, I mean, I still
A big
remember.
high, I'm sure.
When they came to the band, so what we felt as a senior member, we felt the band tighter. We felt the band tighter, and they were very young, and at that age they could really take the responsibility, and the kind of attack we were getting from the sound. You can feel the sound, because we've been in the band since '91. So when they came in, we could feel that another tightness coming in, and we said, this is it, yeah, this is it, and it has to go for a longer time,
And-
yeah, we were very glad.
I mean, having said that, Sonam, like I will also say that joining in as a 19-year-old and joining into this band with such a senior band per se, I was never made to feel like a junior in that sense. Like it was never there. I was always on equal footing, which is something that
because
I
we're
really
also young, at heart. समझ नहीं आ रहा है ना हम लोग बुड्ढे
double
नहीं
money
हैं.
for tomorrow's show. Okay.
We are not old,
organizer,
we are
please.
young at heart.
We've just
Yeah.
increased the fees.
Yeah.
Okay, say good
But
things.
this
Say
young
more good things.
generation was super confident. If we think of 19 years old playing with the singer, we'll be, we'll rather pick up his guitar and carry his guitar rather than play in front of him.
In the end, now that we've reached to the closure of the show, you guys have been here, what, 7, 8 times now to Nepal?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like your second home now at this point, isn't it?
Love Nepal, yeah.
But tell me some of the experience, like how is it coming back here? How are the crowds?
Crowds are amazing. Nepal, all over the Northeast India as well, and this part of the world, if I may say, you have one of the best audiences in the world. And for us, it's always special. Suppose, if you're going to a certain place, not to demean any other place, but if you're coming to anywhere in the northeast of India, we were just at Tawang Monastery last week. Before that, as he just told you, Mokok. So there is a certain feeling that, oh, we are going to this place. So it's like, oh, we are going. So Nepal is one of those places like Goa as well, where it is like, oh, we are going to Nepal. So we're more excited. Otherwise, we hardly come a day earlier to any other place.
I still remember a couple of years ago, we had come here once and we had an option of either going to Nagarkot or staying in Tamil. So I think a couple of you guys went to Nagarkot and I think 3-4 of us went to Tamil. And I think for 3 days, we were just like somewhere in the middle of something or somewhere, and we have no idea how those days went by, but it was still one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had.
Fantastic. Sonda, you want to add to that?
Yeah, for me it's a little bit different story, because since I grew up in Kalimpong, that's in Darjeeling, yeah, and our time, if any musician had to make it big, they used to come to Nepal. They used to come to Kathmandu. Anybody wants to go out of Kalimpong and Darjeeling and make it big in the city, it used to be Kathmandu. We never thought of my generation before me never thought of Bombay or Delhi. Maybe after me and generation after me, that they started coming to. So for us, like my generation people, we always thought Kathmandu is a place, and so many musicians have come from my place to Kathmandu, and they made it big in this circuit. And I'm a big fan of Bikram Bista. I grew up listening to his music. I feel his music was so much ahead of time. Deep Dai. So these two are my, like, as a. Of course, I used to listen to a lot of Pink Floyd. I used to listen to other songs, but these two gentlemen, they are legends, and you know that, yeah. So they really kind of worked with my my music sensibility, and for me, Nepal is always it's a hub for musicians, and it's still now, yeah. There's so many great musicians out here. Believe me, it's a kingdom of like someone posted on the Facebook, so now we are going to a kingdom of music, there's so many great musicians out here. And one of the concert, I don't know, I think it's the first concert or the second concert, I remember meeting Om Bikram Dai, and it was like, I felt so, like, I felt complete after meeting you. So it's like homecoming, truly.
Is this your first time?
No.
No, you've been here a few times.
With
as well.
Parikrama only mostly, and as he said, it's just amazing. It's like second home, and the audiences are amazing, and it's like a world of its own basically, and you get all sorts of support. And I think music means a lot more to people here than it does to, like, any other part that I've been in India especially, and Northeast, like the vibe is just insane here.
Well, it truly is blessed with music.
Yeah, it's really blessed, because I don't know, like 70s, when you listen to some of the recordings, they have done such, analog recording of drums, the kind of chord progressions they've used in their compositions is amazing. It's amazing. I can't think of that kind of composition actually coming from, from my land, it's actually 60s, 70s. This is the time in Darjeeling and, Kathmandu was happening a lot, I think Cat Stephen was here also,
There's just so
Lot of
many
musicians,
mystical stories of Jim Morrison and John Lennon and Jimi Hendrix being here. You just never. There's a hotel, Jimi Hendrix, somewhere in Manang, that they said that Jimi Hendrix actually visited there as well.
Parikrama also.
You just have to take one round. Lastly, as we bring an end to the show. It's been fascinating talking to you.
Thank you. Same here.
It's been great learning so much from musicians like you. For a musician like me too, is to pick your brains, your experiences, how it's been. Times have changed so much, especially for you guys. But when you're with brothers, 29 years feels like 29 days. I'm sure that's how it's been for you. Especially with how much you drink, it must be like that 29 days, right? Lastly, as we go, there's this part on this show that we give you the floor. We'll give you that camera, so you can talk to your audiences, because this is going to go on YouTube. It's going to go everywhere. Everyone's going to listen to it. So the floor is all yours, boys. If there's anything you want to say, right there.
Just wanted to thank each and every person. It's been almost 29 years of rock and roll. We're still doing the same things that we started out at, and couldn't have been without the support of our fans, you know. So thank you very much for following us. Our new song, Tears of the Wizard, is out on YouTube. Go listen to it. All the other blah blah, follow us, whatever you want to do. Peace, trees, rock and roll. Cheers.
Thank you so much, and save the environment. That's a must. Yeah, save water, breathe clean air.
Yes.
Same.
Drink more beer.
Yeah, I think save environment.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, we said it. Drink beer, save water.
I think Nepal is a very blessed country. You know, you have such amazing places here, and I think all of you should be like very happy to live in a country like Nepal. You know, yeah, and so you're truly blessed. Please take care of your place, and that's my humble request. And
Nepal
and
is
you
home.
have great musicians out here, yeah, and we are so happy to be here and play in your place, yeah, and yeah, cheers, man, rock and roll.
Hear that?
Okay.
Nepal is home and the kingdom of music, and always will be. Thank you, Parikrama. Thank you, boys.
Cheers.
This has been a pleasure of mine. The comeback of the rock show with one of the best bands in the world. Till next time, this is ASM saying